my name is Tzvi Lebetkin, your Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring the little bell so you are notified when new videos drop. And I think, the lesson of the age, the lesson of the day, is that everybody is an arsehole. Or at least everybody has it in them to be an arsehole or become an arsehole, no matter how much you've liked their work or how much they haven't appeared to be an arsehole in the past. Of course, we're talking about Neil Gaiman at this point. Again, Neil Gaiman, like his work, I like Sandman, I like pretty much everything he's done. It's a bit of an arsehole, as it would turn out, and he's a little bit surprised about it, right? He's a little bit, really? I didn't know I'm an arsehole, and he's pushing back on it. Neil, mate, I don't want to tell you. I'm going to demonstrate you're an arsehole, and it's okay. It's okay. There's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of them out there. You're in good company. Well, I was going to say, no, you're in actually very bad company. But there you go. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. If you can hit the subscribe button, that'll be fan-dabby double dozy. YouTube, not my biggest fan. They give me a platform, and I do appreciate that. I really do. Although there's new terms and services coming in on Tuesday, I think, and people are fearing being quashed by the tech giant for if they don't have the right opinions. It's a reasonable fear. It's certainly a reasonable fear. So if you could hit the subscribe, that does help me somewhat. I think. At one point I thought, well, I'm too small. They're not going to notice me. They notice me, baby. They totally notice me. It blows me away. So whenever I do well with subscribers, then there you go, and they take a bunch away again. So that's we're in the phase right now. Last week, for a couple of days, we were like, yay, fan-dabby dozy phase. I tell you, if I think if my opinions were ones that YouTube liked and agreed with, I would have like 20,000 subscribers now. As it is, thank you very much to the 3,030 odd people who are currently subscribed. Thank you very much. If you can hit the subscribe button, that's really, really helpful. I am very, very grateful. So subscribe, like, share, comment. All these things are really helpful. Go check out my Indiegogo. This is the week I get myself booked up on other podcasts so I basically want to hit $8,000 so I can wrap up the campaign. I got to get Dominic to start working on the new artwork. I've got this down quickly. You don't have to fast forward, okay? I'm gonna go over this pretty darn quick. My Indiegogo, 2 awesome comic books, biblical Bible stories for 80th creators, rationalists and rogues, 220 pages long. If you like Neil Gaiman's work, if you like Sandman, this is kind of. You can see its influence. It's very Neil Gaiman. It's like Sandman. It's like the Swamp Things from the same era, but it's got that kind of vibe to it. It's very biblically accurate, but it's not preaching anyway. It just tells what I think. A stonking great story. Another stonking great. I also did the artwork on this one. Another stonking great story is The Imperium, a love letter to telefantasy of the 1960s. So basically, imagine Doctor Who, Emmett Till, the Black Slap from 2001, a monkey in a spacesuit, and James Bond, all in one super group together. This is 105 pages long, and I got to get Dominic the script for we're adding 5 pages into this. So I got to get him the script. You get a bunch of extras. You can buy the extras on their own, but I want you to buy the comics. And buy the comics because I hit $8,000. We're wrapping the campaign up, and as soon as I can do that, sooner I can move on. So you get this thing. This is a pin-up. It'll be, when we hit $8,000, it'll be a super-sized 282 poster. Noble Savages, the beautiful Leela and Racco Walsh from 10 million years, but from 1 million years BC, with the Time Machine and K9. Why not, baby? Really? Like if you opened the door and that was there, would you go, why is that there? Or you'll be like, I'm glad that's here. I'm very glad that's here. Bunch of postcards for the male gaze. We got Keep the British End Up, the James Bondy ones. Party like it's 1999. Don't even think it's Citizen. We have No Hanky Panky in the TARDIS. We have I'm Sensing Strong Emotions, Captain, and of course we have the fantastic, the fabulous, the ridiculously wonderful, The Force is Female. At $8,000, we're all getting this A2 poster, a Bohemian in Time and Space. There's more posters. The Eyes Have It. There's Great Balls of Fire, and this one which we've been working for a long time. I finally got to the point where I'm happy with it. Forever Young. Fourth Doctor and Sarah Jane continue travelling, and they grow all together in the TARDIS. brings a tear to your eye. Brings a tear to your eye, as it should. Fine. Something that brings a tear to your eye, a bit of Neil Gaiman. Unfortunately, brings a bit of a tear to your eye. Because Neil Gaiman, I've always wanted to thought, he seemed, one of the sane ones, right? One of the sane. Let's start off why I thought it was one of the sane ones. Let's look at this tweet from not that long ago. This is from, was it? October 2020. Okay, less than a year ago, right? And Neil seemed to get it. Neil seemed to totally get it. Yes, but the fan bases are fans, and they like the source material because it's the source material they like. Aha! Okay, this is all true, Neil. Yes, you've got your finger on the pulse right here. So if you do something else, you risk alienating the fan. First, say that again. If you do something else, you risk alienating the fans on a monumental scale. Now, again, if only you could remember this. It's not Batman if it's now a news reporter in a yellow trench coat with a pet bat. Very good point. So it's a little bit incongruous that more recently Neil Gaiman put out this tweet. This tweet says, "This is where I get to tell you about the casting and reveal a few tidbits of the upcoming Sandman season." So Sandman is being made into a Netflix show. Let's look at this. The press release was being made into a Netflix show. I was looking forward to it. I got a lot less looking forward to it when I heard the audio adaptation. I think Dirk Manx did it. It's on Audible, and I didn't finish listening to it. I got like an hour in. I'm like, because there's a lot of. It's not very good. Is the answer? It's a lot of it is Neil Gaiman himself narrating it, and it's just it doesn't work. I mean, it works when Alan Moore narrates his own work, especially his prose. When it's like if it's like a performance piece, because then it's like it's organic to that. But it was so. Incongruous to Sandman. Sandman was a narrative, and then Neil Gaiman's there. I understand it's very personal to him, and it's all about stories and storytelling. But it still having a narration seems really weird. A really weird, clunky way of doing it. So it wasn't very good. Bottom line, it was really quite disappointing. That's the audio adaptation that's on Audible. So then we get the news of the Sandman casting for the TV series, and look, the problem is this: Neil Gaiman doesn't realize it's 2021. We've had this dance before. We've had this dance many times before. We've had it with Doctor Who. We've had it with Star Trek. We've had it with Star Wars, and it always goes the same way. Insane people who live on Twitter think the world is one way, which is completely disconnected and detached from reality in every way, shape, and form. So one of the things they think is very important is that people need to be free to say they are whatever gender they are, regardless of what their physical sex is. It's a bit of a strange outlook. Now, again, if somebody is of that outlook, that's fine. I don't really mind if you think differently from me. I think I like that you think differently from me. It's good that we all think differently, and we should all kind of like coexist with our differences. But the people who think that gender has to be fluid are not prepared to coexist with people who don't think that gender is fluid. Now, again, let me be clear. When I say people who don't think gender is fluid, I think they're talking about, in my case anyway, the reality that 99.9% of the human race are not gender fluid. Their gender is a very core and fixed part of their identity. It's a cornerstone part of their identity. It's a non-changeable part of their identity. But it's fine that there's a tiny minority of people, who are gender fluid. Now, it is true. The characters in Sandman were fluid in every way because they reflected. These are like basic elements of reality. Desire, destiny, death, dream, right? And they would be reflecting. And there's organic part of the story. They would be reflecting the eye of the beholder, right? So if it was like we had this, if it was a black person, black tribes person who only knew of black people, right? In prehistoric times or whatever, there weren't people there then. But it was a black person. They would see Dream as a black person. Again, that was actually in the comic, because people saw see it as a reflection of themselves. That's fine. But we live in 2021. We're in 2021 where things aren't as honest as they were back in 87, 89 when Neil Gaiman wrote this, and it was kind of to have these ideas were interesting ideas. These ideas, having people being fluid in their identity was an interesting idea, because it was an idea that was literally, and I mean this very, very, very sincerely, literally being used to destroy the fabric of society, right? Which I believe is going on right now. I think, this idea that men and women are interchangeable is an intrinsically evil one, right? I do, because I don't think we are. I think I know, that's not to say men and women are intrinsically equal. I believe all people are born equal, right? Yeah, I don't think anybody has any advantage in terms of, I think we're all, I believe in God. Basically, I believe in God. I think we're all equal in the eyes of God when we're born. That's where. So anyway, they released this casting announcement, and it's full of 2021 virtue signaling, which again, we've had this dance before. I went into Star Trek Discovery completely optimistic, and I like the first 10 episodes, right? I went into Doctor Who, Jodie Whittaker's Doctor Who, with complete optimism. Yeah, okay, because I grew up reading Sandman and stuff like that, where we had these ideas of fluidity, and I'm like, okay. But at the same time that they embrace, embrace what they say, inclusivity. It's not inclusivity at all. It's a hatred of the cornerstone understandings of Western civilization. Right, it's an absolute hatred of it that that we have any kind of definitions, that we have borders, all these things. They do. So this thing reeks of virtue signaling, and normally when something reeks of virtue signaling, it means the thing that they're going to put out is going to be unbearable shit. For citation of that, I would direct you to Star Trek Discovery, which is unbearable shit. Jodie Whittaker's Doctor Who, which is unbearable shit. And the sequel trilogy of Star Wars, which, while it seemed pretty good for me in the first movie, I thought, well, that's going interesting places, turned out pretty quickly to be unbearable shit. And that's just the way it is. I don't know why embracing fluidity, embracing inclusivity means we're also going to make something unbearable shit. But it seems to be the rule of thumb. So I understand, Neil, that there is there is stuff within the original work of Sandman, which late 80s, early 90s. That dealt very much with identity fluidity. And it was organic to it. However, in 2021, where your audience is extremely gun shy, because people have why? Let me refer you back to we'll refer back to that anyway. Let me refer you back to this, because it's not Batman if he's now a news reporter in a yellow trench coat with a pet bat. It's not Doctor Who if it's. The main character is a smug idiot that lectures you with like no moral center whatsoever. That's not very Doctor Who-y to me, and I understand it says Doctor Who on the titles, but it's not. And also equally Star Wars. Star Wars basically is a children's fantasy which we grew up with, so we loved, mainly aimed at 8-year-old boys. When you make it aimed at 8-year-old girls, it doesn't work. Why? Because men and women are not interchangeable, right? It's just I give this example many times over, but in the toy industry, the way boys and girls play demonstrate, I think, the insanity that we see in this world. Way boys and girls play, the way girls traditionally play, is they like to imagine themselves in the role of whatever the character they're play acting, Princess Buttercup, whatever. They want to imagine that they are Princess Buttercup. Boys, they want to imagine that Han Solo is them. So girl characters have very few definable traits, so the young girls can project themselves on the character. Whereas young boy characters have very discernible character traits, so they can have those character traits projected on themselves. It's a fundamental difference in worldview. Why? Because men and women are not interchangeable, in my opinion, and I think that's kind of backed up by reality, right? Men and women are, generally speaking, not interchangeable. That's not the prevailing wisdom in the circles that Neil Gaiman now inhabit. So let's go look at some of these castings. Firstly, we see they all have their pronouns. No, because one person is a they them. I don't care. Like, great. The argument is, if we don't all put our pronouns in the bio, then the tiny minority of people who want to use they, them, or he, or ze, or this and everything will feel bad, and then they'll kill themselves, right? That's the because the rate of suicide amongst transgendered is very high. I don't believe their solution is going to be successful. I don't think their solution will bring down the suicide rates. If anything, I think the solution is going to increase the suicide rates, because I don't think that's the issue, right? But here, so we see a lot of like race swapped actors over here. It's a bit confusing. So the two I found most confusing was Kayo Ra as Rose Walker. Now, again, it's been a while since I read Sandman, but as I recall, Rose Walker was a Victorian-aged young girl, white Victorian-aged young girl. I think so. That's or Edwardian, like from the 19th century. So I think being a white person in the 19th century gave you of wealth and privilege, which again, I think Rose Walker was, gave you a significantly different life experience than if you were a black person. And why? Because there was racism, right? There is still racism. Racism will always exist. And I honestly, as speaking to somebody who nobody really thinks of themselves as racist, even real racists, right? But I never really understood. I never really understood going, oh, that person is lesser because their skin color is this. No, but I do believe that that if you're experiencing crime in America, the statistics do say you're more likely to be experiencing that from a black person more than a white person. The idea that black people are more have a more of a propensity for crime, I find disgusting and racist. No, I do believe the black community has been disgustingly and racistly targeted by the left wing. Left wings of society to basically keep them within poverty, essentially keep them voting for them, right? That's really bottom line. And so if you have a community kept in poverty, crime normally goes hand in hand with it. And if there's higher crime, there's also higher policing. So no one's arguing there's higher policing, but I would argue that there's not a state-sponsored hatred of black people in America, with the police being used as extrajudicial death squads, which is the prevailing view on Twitter, or probably with Neil Gaiman as well, with the Twitterati. That's the first thing. Then we see Death. Death is also played, who's a she/her, is also played by a black person. And again, I understand Dream was black in one panel in the comic book when they're talking to an ancient tribes person who was also black. Generally speaking, though, the character was set up to be a white goth girl, right? With the colloquial shorthand that our culture says that is. And again, this is no diss on Kirby Howe Baptiste, but it looks like her casting against type is a massive virtue signal. And if there was any more sign that it was a massive virtue signal, you got massive virtue signaler Patton Oswalt to voice a Raven Matthew, right? And wasn't Unity Kincaid? Was Unity Kincaid the the Victorian woman. Again, I haven't read Sandman for a number of years. I just remember them being intrinsically white. I see they're having Joanna Constantine instead of John Constantine. Why? Because, yeah, again, there's this idea that women have been forced down and have been made to be second-class citizens throughout the history of Western civilization, which again is something that I think bears out as much as America hates black people, right? I think that's equally ridiculous. But here, let's have a quick look at the blurbs. Fine, so yeah, I'll quick look at why he wants Kirby Howe Baptisti to play Death. Dream's wiser sister, wiser and much more sensible sister, significantly harder to cast than you might imagine. Well, if you want to be a huge virtue signaler, yeah, I can see that. I imagine hundreds of talented women from all around the world, from all the man audition, and they were brilliant, and none of them were right. Someone who could speak the truth to Dream. On the other hand, but be the person you want to meet when your life is over. And then we saw Kirby Howe Baptisti. Again, she, her, I can't stand that audition, and we knew we had her there. You might be right, Neil. You might be 100% right. It's 2021. We've had this dance over and over and over and over again, and we don't particularly trust you, right? We don't trust you. That's the bottom line. Because, we've had Batman be a guy in a yellow trench coat with a pet bat too often. So anyway, this didn't go down too well with the fans, which didn't go down too well with Neil Gaiman. So we have somebody replies, says, when you change an iconic look, it's not the same. It's not the same. Remember, you posted about this very thing. It's literally you telling us the guy in the yellow trench coat with a pet bat is now Batman. I think that's a reasonably a fair thing to like. That'll be my first takeaway as well. So Neil replies and says, we haven't seen her in costume yet. I understand, Neil. You understand? We understand that. But it's 2021. We've seen our beloved franchises torched on the pyre of this identity politics insanity. And it always starts off with this, right? It always starts off with the same thing. So yeah, it might be great. You might have the best intentions in the world. We don't trust you, right? And a lot of people won't be giving it a look in. How can you be so certain? I'll tell you how, because we get Doctor Who, Star Trek, and Star Wars, and Marvel Comics and DC Comics. Now, going woke and going broke. Yes, that's how. That's how we get. It's not we're certain. We're certain when we're certain we're scared, right? We're certain that this looks like a massive virtue signal. And I've read the script, and all the words are the same, and she does the things that are in the comic. Why are you certain it's going to be different? Because it sounds like a massive virtue signal. What about this is in any way confusing to you? You seem like an intelligent guy, but not when you get your bullshit called out, which is what's going on, which isn't going down particularly well with him. So somebody said, so the only comes back and says, why sell out? Just stand by your work, or do you lack the intestinal fortitude? It irks me more that you just don't give an F, right? And I think he does care very much that he's virtue signaling, right? Because this is what his entire social circle wants you to do. And he says, I do give all the F's about the work. I spent 30 years successfully battling bad movies of Sandman. Well, okay, I understand it. But then you're given the, you came to 2021 and said, let's go into the crapness of it. And again, it might be awesome. It might be fantastic. And if this was 2015, I wouldn't bat an eyelid, right? But we've seen decimation across our franchises, which you seem to know, because why? All right, let me reiterate, because you posted that. We've seen our franchises decimated. So yeah, maybe it's the time to go a little bit more conservative, right? And stick to what it actually looked like on the page. I give 0 F's about people who don't understand and haven't read Sandman. Well, I do understand, and I have read Sandman. Whining about a non-binary desire or that death isn't white enough. Well, you should give an F about it, man. I understand about your non-binary desire, but again, look out your window. It's 2021. You know, we live in the twisted post-apocalyptic wreckage of Star Wars, Star Trek, and Doctor Who, right? Yeah, yes. I'm sorry you're not getting the benefit of the doubt, but that's why. That's exactly why. Watch the show, make up your mind. If it wasn't 2021, it wouldn't be an issue. So then, I think Alexander's been on my channel. I said, Neil, if those things are so unimportant, why did you make Shadow Moon white? Why not make Dazar a straight character? I'll tell you why. Because they are important. Sandman is my favorite comic of all time, and for you to disregard my opinion like this continues. Let's see how he continues. In favor of the opinion of people who's never given a damn about your work until now. Which it does seem to be, right? It seems to be you're pandering to the Twitterati, right? It seems to be you're pandering to the Twitterati. It seems pretty damn pathetic. And I think it's a reasonable reaction, honestly. I think it's a reasonable reaction. It's pretty nice. You're creatively bankrupt. I will never give the show a shot. Well, this is a bit but okay. Never give the show a shot, but I already know what to... I will give the show a shot, but I already know what to expect. Okay, that's a bit of a different reading. I added in the word never. Okay, that was a mistake. I will give the show a shot, but I already know what to expect. Yes! Me too. At the first sign of pandering, I'm out. Yes, this is your fan base. This is your fan base talking to you, Neil, not the Twitterati. So, you know, if the Twitterati did talk to you, which it does seem to be the case, right? Mark Millar might have something to say. So let's have a look at how Mark Millar comes in, and I think has Neil Gaiman his arse at this point. I'm not going to go through for a while because there's just a few tweets from him. Mark Millar said, this is from Barrigan Comics, but yeah, I guess you can find it on his on Twitter. That would make sense. Mark Millar said, here's an amazing stat I heard yesterday. Only 10% of comic buyers have a Twitter account, and only half of those accounts are actually active. Thus, 95% of the comic book audience is not on Twitter, which must be mind-blowing for the company marketing departments. Yeah, because they base it entirely on Twitter. But yeah, the amazing thing is this, though. The comic book industry has lost, I would say, about half its market, maybe a bit more, which means even though only 5% are on Twitter, the insanity of Twitter, it probably represents about 40 to 50, I would say 40% of the population of the Western world. But still not 90%, which is what it appears like if you think Twitter's real. Basically, Mark Millar saying Twitter's real. Also a factor in the average person follows many people, many comic book promos. Follows many people. Comic promos are easy to miss. And you quickly realize Twitter is just a fun way to meet and chat with people who share various passions, as opposed to a genuine marketing tool. If only the world thought that way, Mark Millar. And I'll tell you, Mark Millar, I always assumed him to be a douchebag. But it's very funny. I always assumed Neil Gaiman not to be a douchebag and Mark Millar to be. The reason I assume Mark Millar to be a douchebag because he very much supports a really racist anti-Semitic politician. How racist anti-Semitic? Much more than Jeremy Corbyn, who was super racist and anti-Semitic. What's he called again? I can't remember his name. Who cares? I mean, they kicked him out of Labour. That's how racist and anti-Semitic he was. So he said. So this guy comes and says, for the general public, Twitter says about 20% of English-speaking countries have Twitter accounts. Yeah, exactly, and about half of those use it, right? So again, we're back to the same stat. Weird stat. Where'd you get it? How can it be? How can it be that Twitter isn't real? Says this guy. So Mark Millar comes along and says, "Good power, my." From marketing in one of the big two. I was really surprised by this too, but he said even on the slide from their according to their parent company, gives them deep dives and makes little impacts on units, which is fascinating. I think some people stagger through the streets screaming at clouds, ignore them, and focus on the fun stuff. Remember what got you into comics in the first place. Yes, yeah, exactly. Comics are glorious. Comics are fun. right? We haven't got comics in the first place. And the thrill at your first convention. Thousands of people who just love this as much as you do. Yes, it's a great thing to do. I've never been interested in the various Twitter wars and put this whole thing into perspective. A baseline of 95% of your readers just want to read high quality comics. That's really it. We don't want to be preached to. That's essentially it. Just reading high quality comics. That's what it's all about. Twitter should be about a virtual Comic Con where you catch up with each other. 100% correct. 100% correct. Which is unfortunate because I'm not sure I have this tweet here. Because then at one point Neil Gaiman then goes off on Comicsgate. He goes, "Hey, you're Comicsgate. I thought you were extinct." No, Comicsgate is pretty much not made. Comicsgate is, I would say, you know what? I like Comicsgate. That's my own personal preference. That's my personal bias. Indie comics is where it's at because the big two are over. Right, the big two are out there. They're scaling back. I don't see DC Comics being in production for much longer. I think they're going to be. They've been sold off many times now. I think this latest time they've been sold off to Discovery. How embarrassing! Yeah, so the rumor going around is that sale was to get it ready to sell to one of the tech giants, which would make it either Apple, who don't seem to be that interested in streaming, which is strange, although they will make it. That will make it a good acquisition for them. Apple, Amazon, Netflix, or Disney. So conceivably, Disney could end up owning the twisted remnants of DC Comics. Again, Neil, mate, it's 2021. We've had this dance way too many times for us to go, oh no, there's no problem whatsoever. Nothing can go wrong now. I'm sorry, mate. Your virtue signaling just doesn't work. My name is Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe. And ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.